Well, coming off a 1-0 win in overtime, do you feel like tomorrow night has the potential to have the same flavor in terms of being tightly played, potentially goals at a premium?
Yeah, listen, they're a really good team. Obviously, their history, for 10 plus years now. They've been an exceptional program, and so yeah, it's gonna be a good game. We're looking forward to it. They're gonna cause us, they're gonna cause us to think, cause us to start to solve some things, and hopefully we can do the same thing on our end.
Excuse me, knowing what lies ahead for you guys, where you are in the RPI right now, these three matches are big ones for you. Is that something that you talk, with this team about to set expectations of what you guys can accomplish, or is that something that kind of stays a little bit more under the surface until you get there?
I think being at Oregon, that expectation's already there every single day. It's not. We don't have to remind our student athletes about that every single day, or I was brought here to do a job, and that was to get this program to where everybody else is. So, we've always focused one game at a time, one practice at a time, and that's kind of the coach's cliche thing to say, but that's what we do, and our only focus right now is the game against Washington State.
Zoe says that it's changed, this team being the plucky underdog to being a team that has a target on their back. I know you guys mentioned that. You mentioned that very early on in the season. But is that something that you think they've gotten used to at this point? Because I'd imagine there is some transition mentally that goes from the underdog to the team that everyone expects to come out and play hard against.
Yeah, I think there's learning that's gone on. I've said to these guys a number of times, they're doing things right now, and there's learning going on right now that will pay dividends for all of our teams later down the line. And they're handling it great, and I still don't feel as though we've peaked as a team, and the level's going up every day in practice, and they're continuing to drive things. So I feel as though we're in a really good place.
Is there a difference between winning the Thursday game as opposed to winning the Sunday game? Like being able to leave Utah with a late overtime golden goal, then get right on the plane and kind of come back in this week. Is that maybe different in terms of setting up confidence for training the next week and competition the next week when you do that on the second game of the trip?
Yeah, I think the one thing about winning it on a Thursday in overtime, that I think the mental kind of high that goes into it, it is tough to rebound. For a Sunday, I know there's a study out there with regards to when games go to penalties. If you typically teams that win the game in a World Cup type competition with game to game, and teams that win on a on a penalty shootout typically turn around and end up losing the next game. So it's a similar vibe. So yeah, I mean, winning on a Sunday is nice because you get to breathe, and you get to go enjoy it as a team in the airport after the fact, come home, have a day off, and then you get to reset on the Tuesday for the next week.
How important was that game for you guys to have, just in terms of position and where you are in that RPI?
Yeah, I mean, it was we want to get as many wins as possible, and just in terms of the overall standing, it was a good win, and the credit goes to our kids to grit it out. That's never an easy trip. The Colorado game's brutal. I think it was the first time in my career I've gotten something out of it. I've been going there a few times at Oklahoma and at Washington State, so it's a brutal place to play, and then you turn around, it's the one flight you have to make in the Pac-12, and so you take that flight and it's go to Utah, and they're a good team, and it was a good result for us.
Zoe, as an upperclassman, has talked about what it would mean to get to a tournament, not just get into a tournament, but also be able to host a first-round matchup here. That's something you guys, again, are right on the bubble for. Is there maybe a little more energy in the legs for some of these upperclassmen, knowing that, there is something very tangible there for them to achieve here?
Yeah, they're excited. I think, they're talking about, the past 3-4 weeks, as these weeks go by, they're playing for something, which, is new for some of them, and that's new learning. And like I said earlier, I think it's the learning that happens now is gonna help our teams later down the line. So I'm excited for them. It's such a fun group to coach.
You said they're going to make you think tomorrow night and try to solve some things. How does that process play out? Is that something that your players are going to have to do on the field? Is it something you look to a leader or two to kind of figure out and set the tone? Is that something you do from the sideline?
A bit of both. I mean, they're such a well-coached team. I mean, he does such a really good job there with them, and so they've got quality all over the field. So we've got things where we can make adjustments within the game. Obviously, there's the halftime period as well when you get to that piece. So try to give our kids a few ideas going into the game, and then we see how it plays out from there.
Is it fun? Just kind of a chess match?
It is. It is. You know, that's the. I mean, you look at the quality of coaching in this conference. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you've got we've got 3 coaches that have won national championships in the conference, and a number of coaches that have been to Final Fours and things like that. So, no, it's a fun challenge every week.
Yeah, Washington schools this week, Oregon State next week. From a fan perspective, that's fun. You know, to have those schools, at the end of the schedule. Does that add any extra flavor for you guys at all, or are you just so head down?
It's fun to play the teams in the Pacific Northwest. It really is, and it's fun to be in Oregon for the last 3 games. We love being here, and I just think that the rivalry between all three schools is really good, and so really looking forward to the games.